Jimmy closed his eyes and reminded himself, this isn't permanent. We'll figure this out. Just keep it together until after the prom. When he finally finished and stepped out, he wrapped a towel around himself, still shaken by how much every ordinary action felt like a brand new experience. He staggered back into Susie's bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, and whispered with a nervous laugh, "Wow, this is going to be harder than I thought." And then, there was another knock at the door. Susie's mother seemed surprised as she exclaimed, "Susie, you're not dressed. You're going to be late for your appointment if you don't get a move on. You know how hard it was to book your makeover at this time of day on a senior prom weekend." She paused, then added, "Jimmy is on the telephone. I told him you were running late, but he said it was important. I know how you two can talk on the phone for ages. Just please don't take too long this morning." She winked and closed the door as she went back downstairs. Jimmy's heart raced as he picked up the bedside phone. Every little interaction with Susie's family felt like walking a tightrope. One wrong step, and the truth could come spilling out. He pressed the receiver to his ear and said nervously, "Hello." The deep, familiar voice on the other end nearly made him shiver. It was his own Susie's voice now, speaking through his body. "Well, it's about time you picked up. Mom said you were in the shower when I first called. I didn't want you to head out to Garbini's before we talked." Jimmy exhaled in relief. Hearing his own voice coming from Susie was strange and grounding all at once. "I don't think your parents suspect anything," Jimmy whispered. "Your mom and I even talked last night. She's kind. But honestly, Susie, I'll be so glad when we can switch back. Living in your body is, well, let's just say it's more complicated than I imagined." There was a light laugh on the other end. "I figured as much. My body isn't exactly easy to manage. Don't worry. I get it." Jimmy could tell she understood without either of them needing to admit the awkward truth. Adjusting to each other's lives, bodies, and routines was overwhelming. "Anyway," Susie continued, excitement filling her tone, "I'll pick you up at 6. We'll head to the restaurant before the prom, just like we planned. Wait until you see the gown, it's gorgeous. Mom will help you lace everything up. I almost wish I could be there just to see your face." She giggled. "Just remember, Jimmy, you need to look ravishingly beautiful for me tonight." Despite himself, Jimmy smiled. "I'll try. I love you, Susie. I love you too. Bye for now." The line went dead. Jimmy placed the receiver back in its cradle, then moved to the dresser to find something to wear to the salon. He opened a few drawers and froze. Inside were rows of neatly folded outfits, delicate fabrics, soft colors, pieces of clothing he'd seen Susie wear before. He lingered for a moment on one familiar set that he recognized from past dates, marveling at how different everything felt now that he'd have to put them on himself. With a sigh and a nervous laugh, Jimmy whispered, "This is really happening. I'd better make it work." Jimmy carefully stepped into the peach-colored outfit Susie had picked out. On her, it had always looked effortless and stylish. On him, it felt more like a challenge, every curve, every seam reminding him he wasn't in his own body. He fumbled with the fit for several minutes before finally managing to get dressed. Luckily, he found a pair of jeans and a wide-necked burnt orange tee. Getting the jeans zipped took some effort. They were tighter than anything he had ever worn before, and the shirt clung to him in ways that made him feel even more self-conscious. A pair of running shoes fit comfortably enough, though the only socks available were pastel pink ankle socks that completed the look. Grabbing Susie's purse on his way out, Jimmy paused. It felt so strange not having pockets full of his own things. Looking inside, he realized just how much girls carried with them every day. "No wonder these things are so big," he muttered under his breath. When he entered the kitchen, Susie's parents were having coffee. Her dad slid some money across the table with a smile. "Here, Susie. This should cover your appointment. Let us know if you need more." Jimmy felt a pang of guilt. They thought they were helping their daughter, not a boyfriend trapped in her body. Still, he nodded politely, sipped his coffee, and reminded himself he'd have to sort this out with Susie later. Before leaving, he even managed to give them each a quick kiss on the cheek, just as Susie would have done, though it made him feel incredibly awkward. Driving Susie's little red Toyota MR2 into town was another adjustment. Sitting behind the wheel felt the same, but everything else, from the seatbelt across his chest to reaching for the pedals with smaller feet, reminded him how different life had suddenly become. At the salon, Jimmy was ushered into a chair almost immediately. Mr. Garbini himself ran practice fingers through Susie's auburn hair, beaming. "Magnificent. Your hair will hold any style. The color is perfect, all natural. You are a lucky young woman." Jimmy gave a nervous smile as Garbini hurried off to direct his assistants. Soon, a smock was slipped over him, and he was treated to something he'd never experienced before, a professional shampoo. Warm water, gentle massaging fingertips, the scent of expensive products. It was surprisingly relaxing. For a few minutes, he actually forgot about the bizarre body swap predicament. From there, the makeover went into full swing. One stylist carefully set his hair in large rollers while another removed the pink polish from his fingernails. They chatted casually about their boyfriends, then turned to Jimmy with a smile. He hesitated before finally saying, "Yes, I have a boyfriend. His name's Jimmy." The words felt foreign on his tongue, but it was easier than trying to explain the truth. After a turn under the dryer, Jimmy returned to the chair where Garbini himself styled every curl into place. Watching the transformation in the mirror was surreal. The kind of glamorous hairstyle he'd only ever seen on magazine covers was now sitting on top of his head. By the time the finishing touches were added, Jimmy barely recognized himself. He looked every bit the part of a girl preparing for prom night. And deep down, that terrified him just as much as it amazed him. George studied Jimmy carefully as he settled into the chair. You are going to look simply amazing tonight. I hope your boyfriend realizes how lucky he is, honey." A cream base was applied across Jimmy's smooth face, blending naturally into his neckline. "Your gown will probably show off your best features," George added with a smile. "Let's make sure everything looks perfect." 20 minutes later, Jimmy could hardly believe the transformation. His hair had been sculpted into a glamorous style, and his face looked like something straight off the cover of a fashion magazine. Mr. Garbini himself gave the final inspection. "Just a little extra sparkle," he said, dusting a touch of shimmering gold into Jimmy's styled hair. Under the lights, it glistened like starlight. Before leaving, Jimmy was guided into a side room where Andrea, the in-house photographer, snapped some glamour shots for the salon's portfolio. At first, Jimmy hesitated to sign the release, but when a discount on the makeover was offered, he scribbled Susie's name on the form. Later, Susie's mom would proudly display the magazine ads featuring her daughter on the living room coffee table. Walking out into the parking lot, Jimmy carried himself with an unusual sense of pride, proud of how Susie looked, even if he was the one in her body right now. But reality hit quickly. As he crossed towards Susie's car, a couple of guys in a passing car whistled. At first, Jimmy thought they were reacting to someone else. But when the car stopped, backed up, and one of them leaned out saying, "Hey, beautiful. I think I'm in love," he realized he was the target. Jimmy flushed with embarrassment. He remembered goofing around with his buddies and doing the exact same thing when they spotted girls. Now he felt ashamed of ever having behaved that way. He hurried into the car, fumbling with the keys thanks to his long nails. As the guys drove off, muttering rude comments, Jimmy felt a wave of sympathy for women who dealt with this kind of treatment all the time. Driving back to Susie's house, his thoughts shifted. Tonight was the senior prom, Susie's big night. She had been planning it for months, and Jimmy knew he had to make it perfect for her, even if it meant stepping into her shoes more literally than he ever imagined. When Susie's parents saw him, their jaws nearly dropped. They had always known their daughter was beautiful, but tonight they saw her as radiant. Susie's father quickly left to buy more film for his camera, eager to capture every moment. Jimmy quietly handed him the money he'd earned from signing the model release, and the man hugged his daughter with pride before heading out. Susie's mother beamed as she held Jimmy's manicured hands across the kitchen table. "I love the long nails. You'll get used to them. The gold flakes in your hair are stunning. You know, your father and I celebrate our 20th anniversary soon. Maybe I should let Mr. Garbini work his magic on me, too." Jimmy chuckled with her. He'd never experienced this kind of intimate, light-hearted mother-daughter moment before. For the first time, he understood how different those family bonds could feel. Then Susie's mom smiled warmly. "Now, let's get you ready for the prom." She led him upstairs to Susie's room, where several garment bags hung neatly against the wall. Jimmy had a strong suspicion which one held the dress Susie had been waiting to wear for months. Susie's mother carefully helped him slip out of his top so as not to disturb the intricate hairstyle. "Good thing you wore something wide-necked," she said. "Otherwise, we'd have needed scissors to cut it off and protect that hairdo." Jimmy blushed at the attention, but allowed himself to be guided along. The prom night transformation was about to reach its peak. Susie's mother opened one of the garment bags from the glamour boutique and carefully laid out layers of satin, silk, and accessories across the bed. Jimmy, still not quite used to the reality of Susie's body, took a deep breath. This was it, the moment he would be stepping into the outfit Susie had been planning for months. Piece by piece, Susie's mother guided him through getting ready. Instead of jeans and a t-shirt, Jimmy was now being fitted into structured evening wear designed to accentuate every curve. The fabrics were smooth, shimmering, and nothing like the clothes he was used to. He realized quickly that even the simplest task, fastening hooks, pulling on delicate stockings, balancing in tall heels, required patience and help. His new long nails didn't make things any easier. When Susie's mother finally led him into the bathroom to face the full-length mirror, Jimmy froze. The reflection looking back at him was stunning. His auburn hair was flawless, his figure cinched elegantly by the fitted underlayers, and his legs looked endless thanks to the tall shoes. The transformation was breathtaking. He looked like he had just stepped off the cover of a fashion magazine. His mother spritzed a touch of perfume onto his shoulders and smiled warmly. "I never dreamed my daughter could look so beautiful," she said softly. "Jimmy is a lucky boy." Jimmy, staring at the reflection, felt a swirl of emotions. This wasn't just a disguise anymore. Part of him actually felt proud of the image in the mirror. He whispered back, "I hope Susie will be happy. After all, I'm doing this for her." Yet, even as he said it, he knew the line between obligation and self-discovery was beginning to blur. Back in the bedroom, Susie's mother helped him into the final layers, crinoline petticoats that gave the gown its dramatic fullness, and then the main piece, a breathtaking burgundy velvet evening dress. It slipped into place as though it had been made for him. The gown was elegant, regal, and utterly eye-catching. When the zipper was pulled up and he turned again toward the mirror, Jimmy couldn't help but smile. The gown framed his shoulders, narrowed at the waist, and flared gracefully as it reached his knees. With the heels elongating his legs, he looked every bit the prom queen. Susie's mother clasped her hands together, her eyes brimming with pride. "Perfect," she said. Jimmy swallowed hard. For the first time, he wasn't just worried about fooling people, he was worried that he might actually enjoy this.